Today in Across the Fence, cooking and cancer. We're going to explore diet, nutrition, and cooking challenges that women and men face in preventing and surviving breast cancer. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. The 16th Annual Vermont Breast Cancer Conference is coming up, and one of the areas of emphasis will be culinary demonstrations, specifically designed for cancer patients and survivors. The Breast Cancer Conference is Friday, October 4th at the Sheridan Conference Center in South Burlington. It's presented by the Vermont Cancer Center with support from its sponsors. The conference is free, no cost whatsoever. The conference will feature dozens of workshops and speakers, and two of those presenters are with me this afternoon. Dr. Kim Dittis is with the Vermont Cancer Center, and professional chef Curtis Hem is the founder of Pink Ribbon Cooking. I want to thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
And so, Kim, why is the conference this year featuring culinary demonstrations?
Well, one of the emphasis of this year's conference is the fact that for breast cancer survivors, actually early breast cancer survivors, the most common cause of death is cardiovascular disease. And so we have an emphasis on preventing cardiovascular disease as well as breast cancer. And the one thing that both of those chronic diseases can have in common is diet. And so the emphasis is on that and a healthy diet. And culinary aspects to that are critically important going forward to pursue a healthy diet.
And so, Curtis, tell us a little bit about Pink Ribbon Cooking.
Well, Pink Ribbon Cooking is basically kind of a tribute to Bridget's survivorship. So she's now 8 years out, which is fantastic.
Bridget is your wife.
Yep. So she's a breast cancer survivor. And really what we did was, through her journey in cancer survivorship, we really focused a lot on diet in terms of, how diet can impact her long-term odds and just the quality of life. And I think that as a chef, I'm aware of how we eat and how we cook, and there's a nuanced difference now of what we do. And what we do is we focus on teaching people how to cook whole foods, natural foods, to get rid of boxed, processed foods that contain a lot of sodium. The American Heart Association says 77% of sodium consumed is in processed foods. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that we have plenty of food that's delicious and healthy, but also avoids a lot of those hidden damaging ingredients like salt and sugars and fats and things like that. So we have a couple examples that we're going to do today for that.
Okay, now along with the demonstrations that you're doing at the conference, you're also giving away one of the biggest door prizes.
We are. So one of the things that Pink Ribbon Cooking is doing is we're actually hosting a retreat in Lake Placid at the Mirror Lake Inn. The Mirror Lake Inn's our partner for that, and they've been incredibly gracious with us. And they've offered us just a fantastic package and a great venue for this. And so what we're doing is we have a Pin It and Win It contest. Where people can come in. We put up 3 recipes. They can cook one of the recipes and post it to our Pinterest board, and then what we'll do is we'll go through and select a winner from those entrants. And so it's easy to enter. It's got a great little brochure. There's 3 recipes you get out of it. So if nothing else, you get 3 great recipes that are simple and healthy, and way to go. So, and one of the things I'm just going to start here is this is what we also focus on is whole family nutrition. So it doesn't do any good if the breast cancer survivor is sitting there eating, this little salad by herself or himself. And so what we do is we try to incorporate recipes that everybody can do in the family and that kids can get involved in. So what this is pork shoulder, and part of my craft is making sausages.
Right.
And so one of the things that I have to do is hold back on the fat that you would add to a sausage. So I use pork shoulder. So it's a contained amount of fat. We know exactly what it is. It's actually a pretty good, like 80-20 ratio of lean to fat, but you're not adding anything to that. And I actually incorporated some sage into this already in the grind to make sure it was dispersed. And I'm going to add a little maple syrup because it's Vermont and it's a breakfast sausage, and a little brown sugar. And what you want to do is focus on getting as much of a natural brown sugar as possible, and then some pepper. And I'm not going to put any salt in this. And this is the difference between our sausage and a commercially processed sausage. I've got the fat from the pork in here. I've got the sugar and the maple syrup. And all we're going to do is mix this, and then I'm going to scoop it out. You can do it rustically with a spoon, and then start cooking it. And what you want to do is you want to focus on about a 2-ounce portion. So 1 spoon scoop is 2 ounces.
Okay.
And we're going to do that with a couple pancakes later on.
That sounds great.
So I'll get these going.
All right. Well, Kim, tell me a little bit about the significance of food and diet when you deal with breast cancer. Why are they critically important?
So one of the surprises about breast cancer treatment is that individuals who go through breast cancer treatment actually often gain weight. And so the food that we choose is critically important in helping maintain weight and losing weight perhaps after cancer treatment.
And so as a medical professional, what can you tell people about taking control to prevent cancer and extend survivorship?
I think the really critical thing from a diet perspective is what Curtis talked about, and that is eating real food. And real food with a focus on vegetables and fruits and whole grains rather than processed foods that come from a box. And these type of foods will provide potential cancer-preventing benefits, including antioxidants and some of the phytonutrients that are in foods. In addition, real food tends to be, you tend to eat less of it because it's higher quality, and there's less hidden fat and hidden calories.
And so, Curtis, you don't need to really have a huge overflowing plate either. I mean, American portion sizes are a little out of whack.
Yeah, they're obscene. In fact, I mean, I'll tell you that there's a couple of market segments that you want to look at, you know, but big flavors in small packages is our mantra. And if you have something that tastes wonderful, you don't need a lot of it. And actually, the more you eat of it, the less you taste of it. So having smaller portions, even more often, is a much better way to go than having this large meal. And then there's just the whole, you know, you don't need that much food to feel good and to feel satisfied. So, yeah.
So you've got the sausages going. I guess the oatmeal is next.
We do. So what we have is, I really get a lot of pressure to create gluten-free recipes. And I don't, nowadays, I don't eat a lot of processed flours and things like that. So I try to work with oatmeal as much as possible. So what we have here is some rolled oats, some of Dr. Didis's eggs from her house. So we got a couple of those. I've got some cinnamon, because cinnamon's really good for you. I've got some brown sugar, because it needs a little bit of structure because it's a pancake. And then again, I've got some maple syrup to kind of give it some liquid consistency. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add enough water, and I'm going to do this gradually, because I want this to puree. And you could do this with steel cuts oats if you wanted to actually hydrate them overnight ahead of time. So this is going to be a little loud, I apologize. And so here's where we have to add some water. Just enough to get it so it can puree. And unlike flour, oatmeal doesn't have any gluten in it. So, which is the structure that gives bread elasticity. So if I were doing this with real flour, we'd have this gummy, awful, horrible mess. But instead, what we have is a really decent mixture. And so what we're going to do with this is, I whipped up some egg whites ahead of time. And so what we want to do is we want to get to stiff peaks. And if you let egg whites sit, you can always whip them back up. And you can do this by hand. It's 2 eggs. But what we want to do is we want to fold these into our batter. Actually, we want to fold our batter into this. And this is going to give it a light, fluffy texture. And also, at the same time, we're kind of lengthening this. And egg whites are incredibly good for you. There's no fat in them. It's pretty much straight protein. So we go ahead and we add our liquid. And we fold that in. You do it in batches. And you get that texture. And now we hope, because it's live TV, that we didn't over whip it. And so again, these are just kind of pancakes. They'll set up. They'll do the same thing that a normal pancake will do. I can see this is just a little bit runny. It's not a big deal. It's a much lighter pancake that way. And you can just go back and add more to it. And they take no time to cook. We actually made these the other day. And I've never seen Alec eat as much food as this.
This is your son.
Yeah, and so he really enjoyed it. And if a kid can enjoy it, then anybody can.
Taste tester. All right, well, Kim, let's talk a little bit about exercise and the impact that exercise has on cancer prevention.
So the other key aspect about cancer prevention and improving survivorship, as well as preventing cardiovascular disease, is exercise. And so when you think about a healthy lifestyle, it has to include both nutrition and exercise every day. And one of the things that we have done for cancer survivors is to develop our Steps to Wellness Oncology Rehabilitation Program. And individuals who finish their cancer treatment come out and start exercising and getting back on track in terms of a healthy lifestyle.
Which is really great, because, you know, maybe you've had to put that exercise on the back burner for a little while, and this is a way to ease back into it.
Right, and because that's one of the other things that we find with cancer treatment is that individuals' diets tend to change, they tend to gain weight, and they exercise less. And so hopefully this program gets people back to exercising, perhaps even more than they were before their diagnosis.
Well, Kim, I want to thank you for being with us, and we look forward to being with you at the conference as well. Thank you so much. That's the 16th Annual Breast Cancer Conference. It's Friday, October 4th at the Sheraton Hotel and Conference Center in Burlington. And the day's programs begin at 8 o'clock. And once again, the entire event is free. In the meantime, we have left Chef Curtis is going to be sharing with us some of his pink ribbon recipes.
Yeah, so we're finishing up our sausage. So literally it takes 5 minutes to cook. So you can see the great color we have on it.
Yeah.
You can see the texture just like a normal pancake. This just sets up, and then you come in and in one foul swoop you flip it. And you can see it rise.
Yeah.
One of the things that a normal pancake has is it has a baking soda, baking powder, and that usually produces a leavening effect. And we're just using straight up steam heat and the egg whites to do that.
Now, I know that a lot of people, there are some people who have to be gluten-free, but I know a lot of people who don't have to be, but choose to be, and say it makes a huge difference.
Sure, and so I'm one of those people. So I don't have a gluten intolerance, but what I do have is an effect that carbohydrates generally produce on me, and that is a very lethargic effect. And so one of the things that I've done in my life is I've taken those out of the equation. And so I get my carbohydrates from natural products, things that are in vegetables, oatmeal. I eat a ton of oatmeal nowadays. And then just basically, it's not a fad. It's really a wellness thing. And carbohydrates, really processed carbohydrates like white flour and things, they don't make you feel good.
Right.
And whole grains are used to put it in your body where it's supposed to be. So what we can do now is we can kind of plate up. I made a mess of one of these, so we'll put that on the bottom.
Okay.
That's that beautiful spiderweb thing. So if you want to hand me that plate.
I will. I love your plate.
Thank you. I do believe very highly in the visual impact of food, and I think that's one of the things that people, especially when you cook at home, you just kind of say, oh, I got to get the meal on the table, and that's that. But that's not really the case. You have to make food look good, because if it looks good, you're going to eat more of it. And enjoy it more. And so what we have here is 2 ounces of sausage. We've got 3 pancakes. So this entire meal comes in at a really great calorie count. I just want to make sure I turn off my burners. And then if you want to put some blueberries on that.
Absolutely.
And we'll garnish with a little sage, because that's our sausage.
They're rolling right off the pancakes.
Yeah, that's
so
all right.
Now, you are going to be at the breast cancer conference. What are some of the recipes you're going to be doing and sharing with folks?
We'll probably do this one, because this has been a big hit on our social media channels. If you want to top a little maple syrup on that too. Not a lot, just a couple tablespoons. So one of the things we're doing is we're doing a salad presentation in our cold food demo, and that's perfect right there. And that's a really great breakfast, by the way.
That's
beautiful. I don't know if you go to the Inn at Shelburne or any place, you're going to get a breakfast served just like this, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So we're going to be teaching people how to make some quick, simple salads in the fall. We're going to be teaching people simple principles of healthy cooking, things like the sausage, of how to salt, how to season, how to use cooking method and technique to enhance flavor. So we've got caramelization here. So by having the caramelization, we've actually produced a Maillard reaction, which actually produces a little bit of sweet and bitter components. So you don't need a lot of extra added flavor and fats and things like that. I used hardly any butter here.
Right.
So teaching people how to do that. At the same point, we're actually doing a presentation with Jennifer May, the dietitian with the Cancer Patient Support Program, and it's recipes for breast health. And it's really dealing with how do you migrate to a healthy diet? How do you drop what you're doing, and how do you successfully do that in a sustainable and managed way? Because let's face it, diets come and go.
Right.
Nutrition information comes and goes, and what really stays is real food and learning how to cook it.
Right.
And that's what we're working together on, just to really promote that message. And move that forward. And we've also got a coffee chat where we're going to sit and anybody can ask me any question they want about food, about healthy cooking, and I'm an open book on it.
Well, I think that's the thing for me is I'll see a recipe like this and I'll try it and be great, but I need the momentum to keep going each day and try new things each day and make that conversion.
It is, and it's difficult. I mean, I have to say, it's convenient. It's the month of July for us personally, and I'm on a weight loss journey myself, because I've been in the kitchen my whole life, and I understand the struggles. But it's one of these things that you have to plan ahead, and you have to know what your triggers are for eating poorly, what your nutritional needs are, and then how do you have these things ready to go?
Exactly. Well, as we've mentioned, Chef Curtis M. is going to be at the Vermont Breast Cancer Conference, and that's taking place Friday, October 4th. It's free to all attendees. For more information, you can search the internet for the Vermont Breast Cancer Conference. And Curtis, how can people find out about Pink Ribbon Cooking?
You can just go to our website, pinkribboncooking.com. We're on Facebook, and those are the two best avenues. But pinkribboncooking.com is certainly where we house most of our information.
Right, and some recipes as well.
And some recipes. and we also have a free, anyone who's in treatment or caregiving for someone in treatment, we have a free e-cookbook that you can find there as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Curtis.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
For a video copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-ATF-3430. Across the Fence is brought to you as a public service by University of Vermont Extension and WCAX-TV.